In 2007, a man from Ukraine was rejected by Facebook. He grew up poor, used to stand in food stamp lines, and barely spoke English. But just 7 years later, this same man sold his company to Facebook for $19 billion and then he walked away forever. This is the untold story of Jan Koum, the man who created WhatsApp and then disappeared. During the Cold War, Jan Koum was born in a small village near Kyiv in Ukraine. He grew up in a house with no hot water, no reliable electricity, and no food because his family feared that Soviet authorities were listening. Privacy wasn't a right, it was a threat. His father was a construction worker and his mother a housewife. In 1992, when Jan was 16, the family made a desperate escape to the United States. They arrived with barely any money and started from zero living in a cramped apartment in Mountain View, California. To survive, Jan cleaned the floors of a grocery store and they relied on food stamps. It was poverty all over again, but in a new language. Jan barely spoke English and he didn't have any friends. What he did have was curiosity and access to the public library. That's where he taught himself computer science, page by page, code by code. He read manuals about networking, servers, and encryption. He borrowed second-hand books and studied them like his life depended on it, because in a way it did. He didn't go to an Ivy League college and didn't intern at Google. But by age 18, he did already learn to reverse engineer software and that skill got him a job at Yahoo. It was there that he met Brian Acton, another engineer who didn't quite fit the Silicon Valley mold. For 9 years, Jan and Brian worked behind the scenes at Yahoo, watching from the inside as the company grew chaotic. Then, in 2007, both of them quit. No startup idea, no backup plan, just burnout. They took a year off to travel and decompress. When they returned, they tried applying to jobs. Facebook rejected, Twitter no reply. Jan was 33, broke and lost in life. But then on his birthday, everything changed. Scrolling through the App Store on a cheap iPhone, Jan had a sudden idea. What if people could send messages over the internet with no ads, no games, and no nonsense? It was so simple that it almost felt stupid. But simplicity was the point. He wasn't trying to build the next social media. He was trying to build something honest, something that just worked. He called it WhatsApp. The first version was buggy and basic, but it let people send messages to each other instantly using just their internet connection. No charges, no SMS, just raw clean communication that people loved it. In just 2 years, WhatsApp reached 100 million users with a team of just 50 employees. Unlike platforms chasing attention, WhatsApp grew by respecting users. No data mining, no dopamine loops, just simple interruption free messaging. WhatsApp was a digital whisper in a noisy world, and Mark Zuckerberg took notice. After several dinners with Jan, Facebook made a record breaking offer of $19 billion in 2014, which was the largest tech acquisition of the decade. Jan Koum agreed on one condition, that Facebook would never run ads on WhatsApp and that users' privacy would never be compromised. At first, all seemed well. Jan Koum joined Facebook's board and watched quietly from the inside. But cracks soon appeared. Facebook began eyeing WhatsApp for monetization, proposing targeted ads in chats and pushing to merge user data with its ad network. To most in Silicon Valley, it was business as usual. But to Jan Koum, it was a betrayal of WhatsApp's core principle that communication should be private and free from manipulation. In 2018, after years of quiet tension, Jan resigned. Silently but powerfully leaving behind $850 million in unvested stock. That's right, he walked away from nearly 7,000 crore to stand by his principles. In a word chasing more, Jan chose to let go. He stepped out of the spotlight. No interviews, no TED Talks, and no startup comeback. Instead, he bought a $100 million estate and began supporting digital privacy causes quietly, including the Electronic Frontier Foundation, supporting organizations that fight for encryption and internet freedom. He spent years building something simple, respectful, and safe. And when it stopped being that, he didn't sell out. He simply walked away. Today, WhatsApp is used by over 2 billion people worldwide, but Jan isn't on stage. He just wanted people, especially those from countries like his own, to speak freely without fear of being watched. And maybe that's the most powerful message of all. So, what do we learn from Jan Kum's journey? That when the world pushes you to compromise, holding your ground is the rarest kind of power. That in a world chasing noise, building something meaningful in silence is still possible. And that walking away from power takes more courage than chasing it. If this story inspired you, then you need to watch the next one. And make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more real stories of grit and greatness. And let us know in the comments, was Jan Kum the last honest man in big tech?